The trust stock market, how job seekers can trade time for real opportunity. Job seekers teaching each other which job ads are worth investing in. Hi, my name is Sarah Trumbull. I'm the founder and CEO of the Job Applicant Perspective, the first anonymous user reviews for job ads across the US. This is the level of go-to-market awareness. Yeah. So I've spent the last 100 or so blogs, working against a public gaslighting. And that's all well and good, and I'm here for it. I'm still here for it. I'll be here for it till the end of time, because gaslighting, psychological trauma does not go away from a one-off, ooh, I told you all the logic and now it's gone. But I want to spend the next 10 or so blogs really going into detail about the vision for the future, what it can look like, and how it can be there. Last week, I talked about how we are measuring trust, the first elements of how we're doing that. And again, all of these are up for adaptation. They're meant to grow and be revisited. But now I want to talk about the first of the presentations of the data layers. So one of the beautiful things about online hiring, about the modern data's like technology, is that the same data layer can have different presentation types. For me, it can look like the picture thing can look like a picture. For me, it can look like a code for you. It doesn't have to look the same. And the first presentation layer that I want to talk about is called the trust stock market. For those people that it works for, I think we have a spectrum of humans in the world. I think of us like an orchestra. Some people play piccolo, some people play trombone, some people play tuba, some people play timpani. We all like to engage with our data in a slightly different way. And so I mean to speak to the different ways we can engage with this to rebuild, repair, and rejuvenate some of the social contract that has been so brutalized by online hiring and the stochastic economic violence that has happened in the gaslighting. So anyway, this is meant to speak to that. It's meant to speak to the future, what we can do here. And I'm not giving a promise that every aspect of what I say will happen, just like I don't give a promise for anything. I make a promise towards learning and adapting to meet the needs, because the goal is a neutral market that repairs, that grows like a wild garden, not like a quarry, like a garden. Yeah. Anyway, let's start with the first one here. Because there's unions and other people listening in my investment, I want to show you what we can do. What would I do with your money if you helped me out here? Help a girl. Anyway, the confusion of modern job seeking. You wouldn't buy a stock without checking its price history. You wouldn't invest in a company without reading its earnings report. You demand transparency, verify track records, and analyze risk before committing capital. Yet every day, millions of people invest their most valuable asset, time, into job applications with less information than they demand for $10 on baseball cards on eBay. Think about what that investment actually looks like. You spend hours tailoring your resume, writing cover letters, preparing for interviews, and rearranging your schedule. You navigate opaque application portals and shifting requirements, all for a process where a significant share of postings never result in a hire. Response rates hover near 1% to 2% for many applicants. Timelines are routinely misrepresented. Communication often breaks down without explanation. This isn't just inefficient, it's market failure. And when that failure controls access to work, the consequences extend far beyond inconvenience. Prolonged confusion in access to work markets erodes household level economic predictability, creating instability that compounds into civic risk. I've spoken to this before, and I will underline it again. I cannot understate what an epic error in judgment, not considering this earlier, has been. We're all human. We didn't. It is what it is. But stochastic economic violence at this scale would absolutely result in what we've seen happen in the last 20 years. You would see lowered, when you have a group of people unpaid generating revenue for a $600 billion a year industry, you would have decreased wages with increased productivity for everybody, the entire employed population, and you would have an entire underclass that would grow and grow and grow. It'd just be erosion for economic and civic safety. It's unions. Exploited free labor. Oh my gosh, have you dropped the ball on this one? But the best time to change is right now. So those class action lawyers really help too, because, you got to try to recover from that. Attorneys general, here's looking at you kids. You guys also, if you want to promote some civic stability, swinging hard on behalf of the labor force against some of these wildly predatory HR tech companies, just wildly, genuinely. Think about it. People don't spend time talking online about things that they don't value. They don't spend professional time on LinkedIn talking about things they don't value. It doesn't happen. I don't talk about beetles or wood paneling. So the question isn't whether, as an industry, they value it. The question is whether they're delivering value to it or extracting value from it. When you think about Disney and you think about the online labor market, both have two sets of customers, one a paying customer and one an unpaying customer. Think about the way Disney talks to children in front of parents. Think about the way the HR tech company talks to job seekers in front of employers. One was delivering value to the unpaid users that drove all of theirs, and the other was extracting it from the unpaid captive workforce that drove all of theirs, and U.S. civic economy and safety too. No big deal. Sorry, I'm not sorry. I'm still angry about it. It will be for a while, but we got to talk about the future too. All of the things are there too. All right. In a big way, the job market is the stock market for the labor force. It's their access to financial safety and socioeconomic mobility, yet they buy access to that financial security with their free labor, not their profits. We've outsourced that free labor onto processes we cannot evaluate for outcomes we cannot predict in a market that systematically withholds information from the people who need it most. The core metaphor, the trust stock market. Imagine if the key dimensions of a hiring process could be aggregated into a single actionable signal, a trust ticker for every job posting, like a stock price that reflects all available information about a company's performance. This ticker would tell you in real time, based on historical data and current signals, how likely is this posting to respect your time and deliver a meaningful outcome. Key distinctions. This isn't about rating employers in general. That's Glassdoor's domain. It's about evaluating specific hiring processes, the experience of engaging with this posting at this moment in this role, for this role. Who this is for. Job seekers understand why applying to hundreds of postings often fails and learn to prioritize processes that respect their time. Employers and hiring managers see why efficiency alone doesn't guarantee better outcomes and discover how trust can improve candidate engagement. Product designers and platform builders gain insight for designing labor market tools, marketplaces, or recruitment platforms where asymmetric power dynamics are at play. Researchers and analysts explore labor economics, behavioral systems, and market dynamics where human attention and trust are central. Curious as minds in systemic design, anyone interested in making markets work for humans, not just metrics. Whew, genuinely, I'm going to grab my other glasses because these are fuzzy. But I cannot understate that I'm fairly certain most of the data that we've been measuring will be used in the class action lawsuits as evidence of exploited free labor, not success. But I really like systems. It's lovely to try to design this one or redesign it, because I'd like to design one that wouldn't be so hackable by someone like me with bad intentions. I just don't understand people who want to take. It doesn't make sense to me. I just like to have a nice little house with a garden and playground and people and just a happy street. Christmas yachts, I don't get it. I don't understand it. But nonetheless, some people do, and we want to be careful of that. So I'd like to design something a little bit less gameable. If I was a bad actor, it wouldn't go well. And, nobody's perfect. So you always want to watch out for your own self, too. Self-reflection, it's important. From measurement to marketplace, a 30-second recap. In our last piece, we established that trust in hiring breaks down into 3 measurable dimensions. 1, transparency. Is information clear, complete, and accurate? 2, experiential respect. Does the process honor participants' time and humanity? 3, time as currency. Is the effort required proportional to the opportunity? All still true. And again, I really think any market system, any business that cannot re-examine its initial metrics that it's going for, oh, that's a red flag. It's such a red flag. Partly why, the labor market's not in good shape. Because, they can't, nobody could do it. It's red flag. But, so I'm putting those in there still, but they're always up for grabs to improve. And they will not be something that I would take advice from HR from. HR can do that for HR's side. Employers can do that from employer side. Economists can do that from economist side. But job seekers in the workforce, the users, the 95% of the people using this thing, those are the people that are going to do it for this side. They're the experts of their own experience. Anyway, these aren't just nice to haves. They're the fundamental indicators of whether a hiring process will actually convert effort into opportunity. A process scoring low on these dimensions isn't just unpleasant, it's statistically unlikely to produce a hire, or at least a hire that lasts. Yeah. But measuring alone isn't enough. Knowing that a bridge is structurally unsound doesn't help you unless you can choose another route. Any system that makes trust visible also creates incentives to manipulate it. True. The risk doesn't invalidate trust markets. It defines the design problem. It's actually kind of fun. I like puzzles. The trust exchange is built as a layered system, specifically to address these dynamics, which are examined in detail in a published white paper and explored more fully in a forthcoming piece. Yeah, I'm trying to bring that one back down to blog first. That's where the real question begins. Once we measure trust, what do we do with that information? Introducing the trust exchange. Building on the trust ticker concept above, the exchange turned this signal into a functional, layered system. It captures historical patterns, real-time updates, and predictive alignment to help job seekers understand what typically happens to people engaging with this process. Here's why this distinction matters. A company might have great culture, but terrible hiring processes. Or a company might have improved their processes recently, but their old reputation persists. Or, most commonly, different departments within the same company might run completely different hiring operations. Totally happens. The trust exchange cuts through the noise. It answers the only question that actually matters when you're considering applying what typically happens to people who engage with this process from this place too. Because if you apply from one place versus another, who knows if it's a real ad, right? The 3 layers of signal. How the exchange works. Layer 1, historical performance, the chart. Just as investors study price charts, the job seekers need to see historical patterns. How long does this company's hiring process typically take? What percentage of applicants receive responses? How accurate are their descriptions compared to actual roles? Do they consistently communicate timeline changes? Crucially, this isn't company X is bad. It's data-driven insight. Company X's engineering interviews consistently run 4 weeks over promised timeline, while their marketing hires typically complete in 2 weeks. Your 3 trust dimensions become the metrics on this chart. Transparency scores track accuracy of information. Respect scores track communication quality. Time efficiency scores track process length versus outcome. Layer number 2, real-time sentiment. The order book. Markets move on current information. The trust exchange captures what's happening right now. 3 applicants this week reported being ghosted after second interviews. The hiring manager just went on leave, delaying all processes. The role scope changed mid-process again. Salary bands were unexpectedly adjusted upward. This layer transforms hiring from a static post and pray model to a dynamic living system where information flows in real time. I like living systems, adaptable. It should not be rigid or static like that. It should learn. When a process starts breaking down, applicants know within days, not after months of collective frustration. Layer 3, predictive alignment, the analyst rating. The most sophisticated investors don't just follow the crowd. They match investments to their specific strategy and risk tolerance. Similarly, the trust exchange helps you answer, based on my profile and preferences, how well does this process align with what works for me? You value clear timelines. This role has 80% on-time completion rate. You're changing careers. This company's process includes mentorship components. You need remote flexibility. Their last 5 hires were all fully remote despite hybrid listing. This is personalization beyond one-size-fits-all reviews. It's matching process design to applicant needs. The shift from consumption to participation. This is where the trust exchange diverges most radically from current models of HR tech and online hiring. Job seekers are not just consuming job ads, they're participating in market making. When participants generate value for each other and the platform, they amplify value across the entire market. A market as cultivation of value, not extraction of it. Cultivation. We all can win. Win, 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 win. I think it's great. I love winning and winning and winning. Everybody winning. It's wonderful. It doesn't have to be a competition. That can be you doesn't have to be a gladiator pit. It can be like a garden of nurturing. No. Every review job seekers submit, every timeline they report, every outcome they share, these aren't just feedback, they're market-moving data points that adjust the price of trust for that posting. It also honors the individual story of each member. When their bad experience isn't something they carry shame of inside, it's something they use to protect their fellow Americans. They aren't an embarrassment, they're a warrior, Give them back their agency. Like, it doesn't need to be like this. It can be so much more. It's good for the engagement on the platform, it's good for the psychology of the job seeker, and it's good for the outcome of the employer. All the good actors win. Alignment. Yeah. Job seekers help establish the signals for the next person. They create the transparency they wish they'd had. Job seeker insight as part of a collective intelligence system that makes the market work better for everyone. I have made jokes about this, but it's not that far off. I watch too much Hamilton, but I like the patterns, right? But now for a strong, decentralized labor market democracy. If not, then I'll be Socrates throwing verbal rocks at these mediocrities. But a strong, decentralized labor market democracy. A market of by and for, a market of labor for the people who rely on it. Can't say words. A market of labor that relies on the people I can't say words, but it's right. Economic democracy, economic trust, and civic democracy, they're the same things. If you look at it, they're the same things. It just needs to be decentralized. That's all. This isn't charity. It's enlightened self-interest. Yeah, it's true. I want to make money too. The more people participate, the better the signals become, the more efficiently everyone's time is spent. Also, the more community we have, because the market should be a community bringing value to each other. Yes. I've been looking at how you can detect trust too. Because the lack of empathy in an online market is such a dead giveaway to extractive business practices. A vendor, the only time vendors nag their stakeholder, nag one of the end users that they're trying to connect a stakeholder with, is when they're doing planned obsolescence. Think red pill, think HR tech. They're just the red pill industry for employers. You just nag the users, put one person down, put the other person up. They never really connect. That's a lot of churn. It's more money. Lack of empathy. That is a hallmark of a market vendor that's extracting from the system instead of delivering to it. The research foundation, we are building from the trust exchange. The trust exchange is a new system. No one has built this before. Okay, yeah, sorry. This is my check the research. We're not pretending existing research validates something that doesn't yet have a track record to study. What research can do is confirm that the problem we're responding to is real, well-documented, and persistently unsolved. The foundational insight below isn't that trust markets work. It's something more specific. Efficiency gains in markets with information asymmetry consistently fail to improve outcomes for the less informed party. Yeah, that's the dynamic we're designing against. The studies that follow don't describe our solution. They describe why the current system keeps failing despite decades of technological improvement and why any viable alternative has to center trust rather than speed. I mean, if you want to have like evidence for user reviews, you could just go like Amazon, Google, eBay, Uber, Airbnb, every other market uses them. So that's also it. Making a process faster doesn't mean it works better. I use Jevons from the cool question. When two sides don't benefit equally, efficiency widens the gap. The Jevons paradox revisited shows that Sorrell, I didn't realize, but Sorrell had already kind of got there. He didn't do it exactly the same, but close. Shows that efficiency gains, that was cool for me because I didn't realize another person was there. I did, but he didn't. Anyway. Shows that efficiency gains produce rebound or backfire effects depending on system structure and demand elasticity. In asymmetric market structures, these dynamics can interact with unequal capacities to absorb increased volume, allowing efficiency gains to disproportionately benefit the side better positioned to scale engagement. In hiring, faster tools primarily help employers process applications rather than reduce uncertainty for the applicants, aka the workforce, aka economic instability for the workforce. More engagement is not the same as more clarity. I also use Alcott, and I'm going to say this one poorly, but it was Guillaume Pietro in Miami. But the pattern across research is consistent. Making broken systems faster does not fix them. It scales to dysfunction. That's why the trust exchange starts from a different premise entirely. Not how do we make things more hiring more efficient, but how do we make informational environment trustworthy enough for the efficiency to actually matter? How do we make the online hiring environment trustworthy enough for the efficiency to actually matter? That's what I mean about this lack of empathy as a signal. You need to have signals. That's why I have the interconnecting trust layers. You need signals when you're not near somebody. What are the signals that people are acting with integrity or they're not? And it's not always they know they're not acting with integrity. People don't always plan to do the wrong thing. Maui from Moana doesn't plan to ruin his cartoon world. So there needs to be signals that we're looking for. From reviews to trust market. The job applicant perspective doesn't start as a full trust exchange. It starts with something simpler because markets don't become legible all at once. We are recursive learners. We're starting from square 0 and we're going to square 1. Then we're square 1, we're going to square 2. And that's what we're doing because I use Hamilton. We have to start somewhere, We have to start from the beginning. And then we do that and we get grateful to improve it every step of the way, knowing that every step of the way, you're making it way better than it was before. Right now, TJAP functions as a Yelp-like layer for job postings, anonymous, process-specific user reviews that capture what actually happens when people engage with the hiring process. Did the posting reflect reality? Did timelines hold? Did communication break down? Did the effort required match the opportunity offered? The starting point matters. Reviews are the easiest brand for participants to climb onto. They require minimal coordination, create immediate value for job seekers, and most importantly, begin generating the raw data of a trust market depends on. But reviews alone aren't the end goal. They're the on-ramp. Over time, these signals can be strengthened through overlapping trust layers across regions, roles, and hiring contexts. As patterns accumulate across postings, roles, and times, something more powerful becomes possible. Aggregation, comparison, and prediction, that's where the trust exchange comes in. The trust exchange is a larger system TJAP is building towards, a market where trust signals become structured, layered, and actionable. Where historical patterns, real-time sentiment, and alignment signals can be combined into a clear indicator of whether a hiring process is worth your time. It doesn't need to be two-dimensional. It's three-dimensional. In other words, today's reviews are tomorrow's market signals. You're helping the future every time. That's awesome. We're not asking the job market to leap from opacity to perfect efficiency overnight and remotely. We're building trust the same way every functional market does by starting with shared observation. We attune to reality. We do not narrate reality. We observe it. and we listen. We don't tell someone their reality. We listen for what they've said, and we observe and compare. That's what we do. Then turning that observation into collective intelligence. The market that finally clears. For decades, we've treated hiring as a one-way broadcast system. Employers post, applicants consume, information flows downward, feedback is suppressed or ignored. The trust exchange reframes hiring as a two-way marketplace where information flows freely in both directions. Trust has tangible, measurable value. Both sides can make informed decisions. The system learns and improves over time. When you can finally see and act on the real trustworthiness of a hiring process, something profound happens. You stop gambling with your time. Every stochastic improvement we can make on the score will be an improvement. Every 0.2%, we have less gambling. It's 0.2% less gambling. It's 0.2% more money, more stability in the country. It's way better. It's harm reduction. Stop the bleeding. You stop treating jobs applications as lottery tickets and start treating them as investments. You move from hoping to knowing, from guessing to choosing. This isn't about making hiring easier in the superficial sense of one-click applications. It's about making it more meaningful, ensuring that every hour you spend actually moves you toward opportunity rather than exhaustion and homelessness and, your hungry children and stuff. The trust exchange doesn't just help you find jobs, it helps you stop wasting your life on processes that do not deserve your time or attention. And in a world where time is the only true non-renewable resource, that might be the most valuable exchange. Well, yeah. So that's this one. The next one's going to be on the Google Maps of the online hiring market. Then I'll do Wikipedia. I might do another. Again, it's meant to be generative. I meant to demonstrate. I don't think people need to stop looking for the right answer. You need to look for the possibilities of what this can be. You start from the center and you build out like a ripple. I don't like knowing what I meant. I like dropping ripples in the pond. But no, for this kind of thing, yes, that's happening. I mean, provided everything works as I would like to work. But it's a complex dynamic system. We will see how it goes and we'll build what we can. And the goal is harm reduction. The goal is stopping the bleeding. The goal is starting the recultivation. First, stopping the bleeding, then starting to put salve on the wounds, and then we do bit by bit. That's the way. Because the only way out is through, You're in an ER, you have a gut shot, you have a gut wound. What do? First, you stop the bleeding. Then you start stitching. And then you start cleaning out the blood and you're trying to do the things. And that's what we're doing. I'm just trying to show you where it can be. So, yeah. Anyway, I agree with Mamdani when he said that one time. It was, sometimes I think it's a failure of imagination, almost sometimes. People need you to demonstrate what you imagine sometimes. I don't know. He said something in a speech one time that really spoke to me. I was like, yeah, it is that. So, I don't think all the time people are villainous. I think they fail to imagine something else. It's very interesting. Anyway, regardless, yeah, that's it. And I hope everyone please stay safe out there. It's getting crazy. And yeah, stay safe. The goal is to stabilize the situation and to work together. And yeah, be brave and be strong and be true. Hold the signal, hold the line, and be safe. So yeah, stay sane. The world's a snowstorm. You want to